We're going to continue with our media availabilities this morning. We've now been joined by Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 M&M's Toyota. And Kyle, coming off a great weekend, or great 2 weeks, I should say, for you. Going into this weekend, you have 5 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series wins here at Bristol. A familiar place to go to Victory Lane. Talk a little bit about just the team's performance and how you'll approach this weekend.
Well, I certainly look forward to Bristol. I definitely have over the years, whether it was the old surface or when they repaved it. And, you know, it's been kind of frustrating a little bit since the grind here for me in the Sprint Cup Series side. Haven't necessarily figured that out all the way yet, but definitely last fall we got a lot closer to being able to have a win here and having some good success with the racetrack that we have with the grind. So, you know, I definitely look forward to this weekend. I feel like with what we did learn here last fall that we've got some good chances to try to win here this weekend in the Sprint Cup side, and look forward to trying to do that.
All right. We'll go ahead and take questions for Kyle. If you have one, please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation, and we're going to start with Chris Knight here in the middle.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Kyle, obviously been a good couple weeks for you, but tomorrow a little different on the Xfinity side with the heat races. How are you looking forward to those heat races, and do you think it's a good thing for the Xfinity series?
I'm looking forward to it just to see what it's all about, you know, and to be a part of it the first time that it comes about here at Bristol. I think it's a good place for it. Obviously, racing late models over the years and being at short tracks, I'm used to the heat races and things, but I think the format's just kind of a little different than what I'm more accustomed to with the heat races and what they mean at those other racetracks, so or those other series. But we'll see what it has to offer the fans and to kind of break it up a little bit maybe, and you know, give a chance to see what heat races are all about in NASCAR again.
All right, we'll go to Jeff next.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. It seems like you're a better driver than you've ever been, and a lot of people have talked about what the impact of the injury and the championship and your mental makeup and all this stuff. But inside the car, are you doing anything differently, or have you learned anything over the past year, something that you're doing differently that is helping these results differently than outside the car and your mental attitude and all that stuff?
I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily doing anything different. You know, certainly I think that circumstances are going our way maybe a little bit more. Why, I'm not sure. But also I've just had some really fast race cars. Guys have been doing a great job at Joe Gibbs Racing, both on the Xfinity side and the Sprint Cup side. So, you know, we've had a good taste of success here lately, and certainly feels good. You know, and when times are good, things seem easy, of course. So, you know, we'd like to keep it that way. But overall, I think that there's some things still for me to learn over the years that maybe I'm not quite as good at, that I could be better at. Just different racetracks and being able to run well at different times or different aspects. Charlotte, for instance, haven't won there, you know, but Kansas, things like that. So, you know, I feel like we can go each and every week and have a legitimate chance to win each and every week, which is probably the first time in my career I've had that. So it's pretty good.
All right, Jeff, go ahead.
Jeff Birchfield, John City Press. Kyle, a couple things. Number one, historical perspective on what your team's been able to accomplish lately. And then I know you're a big fan of the history of the sport. And when you think of what Darrell Waltrip did here at that 7 straight race wins at Bristol, you think that'll ever be matched?
No, it won't. You know, I think that just the way the sport was then is certainly different than what it is now. You know, when you hit on something back in that day, you may have been able to keep it at that particular racetrack for a lot longer than you can now. With the way the tech goes and having to tear down your car here at the racetrack and having people looking at it from not very far away, you know, they can see what you're doing. And then again, they go to the tech center and guys, you know, they pull apart the shocks and they pull apart the bump stops and they basically give everybody else what you're doing away. So, you know, it's not all that secretive on the things that these guys are doing these days. So I don't think you'll ever see 7 in a row at a particular racetrack ever again. I could be wrong, but you know, deep down I'd like to say that I could do it, but I know that even with the team that I have and the crew and the talent and everything that we've got going on with the 18 car, that's going to be hard to do. So you know, it's fun to reminisce about those days and seeing about what it's all about, but also too, you know, sometimes you hear these comments about our sport about how it may be dull or boring or whatever, and yet you know, they talk about how great it was in the 70s or the 80s, and you look at some of the results, and there's 8 cars that finish, and the second place car is 3 laps down, and, you know, this guy's now won 5 in a row at a particular racetrack. It's like, how is that what the good old days was? Is that really what this day would be exciting? I don't think so. Not unless it's your favorite driver, which there's a lot of different fans out there that pull for different drivers.
All right, we're going to go to Kenny Bruce, then Jerry Jordan.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Kyle, first of all, have you lost anything recently, like your car keys or your wallet or anything like that, or are you just on this tremendous roll?
What would losing anything have anything to do with it?
Break you because you haven't lost anything in 2 weeks.
I get it. I didn't understand it at first. You lost me.
Sorry, that was a stretch.
I have not, though. I haven't lost anything. You know what? I did lose a watch. One of these. I think it was an anniversary gift for my wife. I lost my watch for a while, and then before we left for the West Coast Swing, I found it. Like, I lost it from last September, you know, but I still won the championship, so that was pretty good. But then I found it before we left for the West Coast Swing, and we've been on a bit of a roll. So I don't know, maybe that had something to do with it.
Okay. You are, if my numbers are close to being correct, I think you're within like 1 win of tying Tony Stewart for having the most wins of any driver for Joe Gibbs Racing. 2 wins away from being the all-time winningest driver at Joe Gibbs Racing. Does that mean anything to you?
I never even knew that, so that's pretty neat. That it does mean a little bit, you know. Tony being there for the amount of years that he was there and winning 2 championships for the coach, and being a huge part of our team and the way that it grew and everything, from when it went to 1 cars to 2 cars, and then from when it went to 2 to 3. Obviously, Tony was there for all of that. So I certainly wish that I was teammates with him a lot longer than I was. But to have the opportunity to maybe go out there this year and win a few more races, and to beat him as far as the all-time wins leader at JGR, that'd be pretty special. I'd like that a lot. So, you know, maybe I'll give him a handshake when it's all said and done.
All right, Jerry, go ahead.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires of Performance Racing Network. I want to go back to a question you were asked last week, and you said that you would like to run the Indy 500, but you had to convince some people. Who's going to be harder to convince if you ever get to do that, Sam, Joe, or your sponsors?
Joe's going to be the hardest one for sure. So Samantha, she's not necessarily a fan of it. I've talked to her about it a little bit, and she's just like, don't tell me. She's like, I'll be there when time comes, but don't tell me. And then, you know, the sponsor aspect, they've actually kind of shown some interest in it a little bit. So that's kind of fun for me to hear that there might actually be an opportunity there where I can continue my relationship with them from the Cup side to the IndyCar side. But we got to work out all those details. It's certainly not going to happen for this year. But maybe in some future years, we'll see what we can put together.
All right, we're going to go Jim Utter, Gary Graves, and our final question will come from Reed. Go ahead.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. Kyle, obviously on the Sprint Cup side, you've enjoyed tremendous success already this season, all in races that you didn't have the opportunity to race last year. So I was just wondering, do you see this more as a continuation of what you left off with at the end of last season, or do you think that at this time you guys are even performing better than you were at the end of last season when you won the championship?
I think momentum's momentum. You know, I think what we did last year, me coming back and sort of struggling the first 5 races a little bit, not really getting what we wanted out of it, and then sort of taking off in the summer months and having some good results and keeping that all together throughout the end of the season, winning the championship. I think that just sort of solidified our team's ability and what we were all about, and that we weren't some fluke that ended up in the chase, you know. So gives us great pride and strength that we know that we've come out this year, and besides a tire failure at California, that we've had top 5s in every single race, you know. So we've been really strong. Adam and the guys, again, they've done a great job for me to give me cars that are good to drive and that keep us up front. So I don't think it's anything short of what we're all about and what we should be able to continue to do here on out.
All right, if we can get a microphone to Gary, please.
Gary Graves, Associated Press. I mean, it's not uncommon for you to have weekends like you've had the last 2, but at this point in your career, how appreciative are you to, you know, to have that kind of success, and do you kind of look back and say, wow, you know, I've been able to dominate a weekend like that?
for missing what I missed last year and being out of the race car as long as I was, I think I've certainly given fact to the matter that I love racing, and that's what I'm all about. You know, when I was laid up and thinking about whether I wanted to come back or whether or not I didn't, you know, there was certainly never very many thoughts that crossed my mind that I did not want to come back. So this is what it's all about for me. This is my passion, my drive, my fire, everything that gives me to come out here and race each weekend. And you know, to have the success the last 2 weekends like we have, that's what you want to do. You'd want to win them all, but you know you're going to lose a heck of a lot more than you're going to win. But we've just got to stay consistent through what we're doing right now. And if we're able to continue the win streak here through Bristol, that'd be pretty awesome. You know, basically take a whole month and be nothing but Kyle Busch. So we'd love that. And you know, we'll see how it rolls this weekend. But looking for good things here.
All right, we'll take our final question from Reed. Go ahead.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. With that said, having won 2 weekends in a row, tying Harry Gant for that distinction, how would you assess your prospects for 3?
I think it's really good. You know, coming to Bristol, I mean, it's been a really good place for me on the truck side, on the Xfinity side, and the Sprint Cup Series side. But, you know, I think the Xfinity Series side that, you know, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. It's going to be a little bit different this weekend with the heat races and things like that. But if we can win our heat and then start up front for the feature and how the pit strategy kind of plays out with it only being 200 laps and seeing what tire wear is all about here, I think we've got a really good shot there. And then, of course, the 500 lapper on Sunday, that's going to be a heck of a lot harder to figure out. But like I mentioned earlier, you know, we were really good here last fall. We led a lot of laps. We ran up front. We weren't very good on the long run, but Adam and I both went to work over, you know, the off season and especially this week, getting prepared and things for this weekend and knowing that we can come here with a better shot to win this one. So, you know, I'd like to think that there's a good shot for us to do it here, and then we'll be talking about whether or not we can do it at Richmond. So, it'll be a pretty good story.
All right, Kyle, we appreciate your time this morning. We wish you the best of luck this weekend.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for the cookies, Bristol, by the way. I appreciate that. You guys were talking about strippers earlier. I don't know what that was all about, but I already did get the cookie, but now I got cookies.